The blue light is burning your eyes. It's 2:14 a.m. You swore you wouldn't check. You swore you were done. But your thumb moved on its own, sliding across the glass, tapping the app, typing the name you hate more than anything in this world. And there they are, smiling. They look happy. Not just social media happy. They look genuinely, infuriatingly unbothered. They are holding the drink or standing next to the new partner or holding the award that, by all rights, by all logic, by every metric of decency, they do not deserve. You stare at the photo. You zoom in. You look for a crack in the facade. You look for the dark circles under their eyes that would prove they are losing sleep over what they did to you. You scan the comments, hoping to see someone, anyone, calling them out. Hoping to see a single sentence that says, "We know who you really are." But all you see is applause. So proud of you. Well deserved. You're an inspiration. And that is the moment your chest tightens. It feels like you swallowed a jagged stone. It's not just anger. It's not just jealousy. It is a profound, vibrating sense of violation. It is a glitch in the matrix. Because you were there. You know the truth. You have the receipts, the screenshots, the memories of the lies. You know exactly who this person is when the lights are off and the audience is gone. You know the damage they caused. You know the bodies they stepped over to get to that smiling photo. So why is the world clapping? This is the exact moment where the concept of justice begins to rot you from the inside out. You aren't just hurt. You are confused. You are suffering from a metaphysical nausea because the equation isn't balancing. Input, they did something evil. Output, they are winning. Input, you stayed true. You were honest. You took the high road. Output, you are sitting alone in the dark, traumatized, broke, or brokenhearted, while they are popping champagne. This is the wound. It's the realization that the narrative you've been fed since you were a child, that good prevails and evil is punished, is failing right in front of your eyes. And it drives you mad. You start to bargain. You tell yourself it's just a matter of time. You tell yourself, karma is a boomerang. It'll hit them eventually. You script the scenario in your head. You imagine the moment their house of cards collapses. You imagine them coming back to you, crawling, apologizing, admitting that you were right all along. You build an entire courtroom in your mind where you are the prosecutor, the judge, and the jury. You present the evidence. You lay out the timeline. You make the closing argument that proves, undeniably, that they are the villain and you are the victim. And in your head, the gavel bangs. Guilty. But then you look back at the screen. 2:20 a.m. They are still smiling. The likes are still climbing. The world is still turning, completely indifferent to your internal trial. This is the trap of seeking justice. You are spending your actual, finite life force waiting for a correction that isn't coming. You are holding your breath, waiting for the universe to exhale, and you are starting to turn blue. Think about the energy you have burned on this. The conversations you rehearse in the shower. The way you vent to your friends, telling the story over and over again, refining the details, making sure they understand just how bad it was. You need them to validate your reality because the external world isn't doing it. You need a witness. Can you believe they did that? You ask. That's awful, your friends say. It's just not right, you say. And for a second, that validation feels like a salve. It feels like a tiny drop of the justice you crave. But it changes nothing. The person who hurt you is still sleeping soundly. They aren't thinking about you. They aren't rehearsing arguments. They aren't waiting for karma. They are just living. This is the uncomfortable truth you are trying to ignore. The universe does not have a relentless mechanism for fairness. It has mechanisms for cause and effect, yes, but it does not care about your moral definition of what should happen. You are clinging to the idea of justice because the alternative is too terrifying to face. The alternative is accepting that the person who lied, cheated, and manipulated their way to the top might just stay at the top. The alternative is accepting that your pain does not create a debt that the universe is obligated to repay. Stop seeking justice. Stop looking for the scales to balance. Stop checking their profile to see if the downfall has started. You are waiting for a train at an airport. You are standing on the platform of your own resentment, checking your watch, furious that the train hasn't arrived, screaming that the schedule promised it would be here. But look around you. Look at the planes taking off. Look at the reality of the situation. The train isn't coming. And as long as you stand there waiting for it, as long as you demand that the world makes moral sense before you can move on, you are keeping yourself trapped in the victim's cage. You are handing the keys to your life over to the person who hurt you, and you are saying, I will not be happy. I will not be whole. I will not succeed until you are punished. That isn't justice. That is suicide. You think you are waiting for fairness. But what you are actually doing is letting the wound fester. You are picking at the scab every single day, keeping it fresh, keeping it bleeding, because you believe the scar shouldn't be there. You believe that if you heal, it means they got away with it. Let me tell you something that will hurt. They have already got away with it. The moment is gone. The damage is done. The check has cleared. The only question left, the only question that actually matters, is how many more years of your life you are going to donate to a cause that was lost the moment it happened. You are staring at a screen in the dark, poisoning your own blood with cortisol and hatred, hoping that if you hate them hard enough, they will feel it. They don't feel it. They feel fine. And that is the first thing you have to accept if you want to understand how the world actually works. The bad guys often win. The liars often get the promotion. The manipulators often get the girl. The silence of the universe in response to your pain is not an oversight. It is the baseline reality. And until you stop screaming, it's not fair, you are blind to the actual game being played. You're sitting in the conference room. It's the quarterly review. You have the spreadsheet open in front of you, the one you built from scratch. You spent 3 weekends formatting the data, checking the formulas, making sure the projections were bulletproof. You know this project inside and out because you are the engine that makes it run. Then the door opens. He walks in. He's late, as always. He didn't work the weekend. He doesn't even know how to open the raw data file. But he's wearing a better suit, and he's laughing at a joke the boss just made. He sits down, slides your report across the table, and says, So, here's what we found. He talks for 20 minutes. He uses buzzwords he barely understands. He misinterprets a key metric, but he says it with such confidence, such unwavering authority, that the boss nods along. You sit there, your heart hammering against your ribs. You wait for someone to ask the technical question that will expose him. You wait for the moment where actual competence matters. But the question never comes. The meeting ends. The boss shakes his hand. Great leadership on this, Mike. And Mike smiles, that shark-like, empty smile, and says, Thanks, it was a team effort. He glances at you. He knows. He knows you did the work. He knows he's stealing it. And he knows you won't say a word because you're professional and he's charismatic. You walk back to your desk, invisible. The rules said hard work pays off. The reality says leverage pays off. Flash forward. You're standing in a hallway outside a courtroom, or maybe just a lawyer's office. The air smells like stale coffee and floor wax. You are holding a folder full of truth. You have the emails. You have the bank statements. You have the text messages where they admitted everything. You played by the rules. You filed the paperwork. You trusted the system. And then your lawyer walks out. He looks tired. He doesn't look like a warrior fighting for justice. He looks like a mechanic telling you your car is totaled. It's not worth going to trial, he says. It'll cost you more than you'll get. They have deeper pockets. They can drag this out for 3 years. But they lied, you say? Your voice sounds shrill, even to your own ears. It's right here in black and white. I know, he says. But the law isn't about truth. It's about what you can prove and how much you can pay to prove it. The best move is to settle. Settle. The word tastes like ash. To settle means to agree to a lie. It means signing a piece of paper that says, we're both a little right, and we're both a little wrong. But you weren't wrong. You were the one who was robbed. Yet, there you are, picking up the pen, your hand shaking, signing away your right to the truth because you can't afford to buy justice. The person who robbed you walks away with 80% of the loot, and you're supposed to be grateful you kept the other 20%. Cut to Saturday night. You're at a dinner party. Someone brings up your ex, the one who gaslit you for 2 years, the one who made you question your own sanity. You haven't seen them in months. You've been healing. You've been quiet. Oh, I saw Alex the other day, a friend says. They're doing so well. They're volunteering at that animal shelter now. They seemed really heartbroken about how things ended with you. The room goes quiet. Everyone looks at you with pity. Not pity for what you survived, but pity because you are the one who couldn't make it work with such a saint. You freeze. The blood drains from your face. Heartbroken, you think. They threw a chair at me. They cheated on me in our bed. But you look around the table. You see the narrative has already set like concrete. While you were busy healing, Alex was busy campaigning. While you were in therapy, Alex was out for drinks, telling a soft, sad story about how complicated you are. You open your mouth to defend yourself. That's not what happened. You want to scream. But you see the look in their eyes. If you speak now, you look bitter. You look crazy. You look like the problem. So you take a sip of wine. You swallow the bile. You let the lie stand because fighting it only makes you look worse. This is the pattern. It's not a one-time glitch. It is the operating system. Scene after scene, you are confronted with the same brutal mechanics. The incompetent loudmouth gets the promotion over the quiet expert. The wealthy liar outspins the honest man in court. The charismatic abuser wins the social circle while the victim sits alone. You keep waiting for the referee to blow the whistle. You keep looking at the sky, waiting for the lightning bolt to strike the liars down. You operate on the assumption that truth has a weight to it, that it naturally rises to the top like oil and water. But look at your life. Look at these moments. Truth doesn't float. Truth sinks unless you have the power to hold it up. You are playing a game of chess. You are moving your pieces according to the rules of honor, logic, and fairness. You are protecting your king, developing your knights. And your opponent? Your opponent just flipped the board over, punched you in the face, and declared victory. And the spectators? They're cheering for the punch. You are sitting there with the rulebook in your lap, confused, shouting. That's an illegal move. Nobody cares. Because while you were studying the rules, they were studying how to win. You're staring at the ceiling. The scenes from the office, the courtroom, the dinner party, they're all swirling in your head. And suddenly, it clicks. It's a physical sensation, like a drop in cabin pressure. The realization hits you. Nobody is coming to fix this. This isn't just about this one bad boss, or this one toxic ex, or this one unfair lawsuit. It's the structural reality of your existence. You have been operating on a faulty map. You believed in the just world. This isn't just a phrase. It's a psychological safety blanket you've been wrapped in since kindergarten. Be a good boy, and you'll get a gold star. Tell the truth, and you won't get in trouble. Work hard, and you'll be rewarded. You built your entire identity on this contract. You thought it was a binding legal agreement with the universe. You thought, if I input goodness, the machine must output reward. If they input evil, the machine must output punishment. But the machine is broken. Or, more accurately, the machine never worked that way to begin with. This realization is the gut punch. It's the moment you understand that the just world is a fairy tale told to powerless people to keep them compliant. It's a control mechanism. Think about it. Who benefits if you believe that justice will eventually sort itself out? The people in power benefit. If you believe karma will get the bad boss, you won't report him. You'll wait. If you believe the truth will naturally come out about your ex, you won't aggressively defend your reputation. You'll wait. If you believe the system is fair, you won't build the leverage you need to force a fair outcome. You'll wait. You are waiting. And while you wait, the predators are feasting. The pain you feel right now isn't just about the injustice itself. It's the pain of your worldview shattering. It's the vertigo of realizing you are standing on a cliff edge with no railing. The uncomfortable truth is this: fairness is a human invention, not a natural law. Nature isn't fair. The lion doesn't ask if. The gazelle deserves to be eaten. The storm doesn't check if the house it destroys belongs to a good person. Cancer doesn't avoid the saints and target the sinners. So why did you expect human society, which is just nature with better lighting, to be different? You see it now. The person who hurt you isn't an anomaly. They aren't a glitch in the moral fabric. They are simply an organism pursuing its own self-interest without the burden of your specific moral code. They wanted the promotion, so they took credit. They wanted the validation, so they lied to you. They wanted the money, so they cheated. They didn't strike a deal with the devil. They just didn't sign the contract you signed. And this is why it hurts so much. You feel like a fool. You feel like you brought a knife to a gunfight. But worse, you brought a poem to a gunfight. You brought your feelings, your principles, your "but I'm a good person" badge, and you expected it to stop a bullet. It didn't. And looking back, you see exactly why this keeps repeating. You see why you keep getting hurt. You walk into every interaction assuming the other person plays by the same rules. You assume that if you are transparent, they will be transparent. You assume that if you are loyal, they will be loyal. You are projecting your conscience onto people who do not have one. It's like walking into a cage with a tiger and being shocked when it bites you because you are a vegetarian. But I wouldn't eat the tiger. You scream as you bleed out. The tiger doesn't care. The tiger is doing what tigers do. The realization is suffocating because it strips you of your greatest defense, your moral superiority. Up until now, you could comfort yourself by saying, "At least I'm the better person. At least I can sleep at night." But let's be honest. Are you sleeping at night? No. You're awake at 2 a.m. obsessing over them. Are you better? Maybe. But you are also weaker. You are also poorer. You are also sadder. Being right is a consolation. Prize for the loser. And right now, in the cold light of this realization, you are seeing that prize for what it is, a plastic trophy that buys you nothing. The world doesn't care if you were right. The history books are written by the winners, not the people who were morally correct, but got crushed. This is the pivot point. You can either retreat back into the delusion, close your eyes, cover your ears, and keep screaming, "It's not fair." Or you can open your eyes to the chaos. You can accept that there is no referee. There is no judge. There is no karma police. There is only you. There is only what you allow. There is only what you stop. There is only power and the lack of it. And for the first time in your life, you are seeing the board for what it really is. No lines. No rules. Just pieces moving in the dark. So why does your brain reject this? Why, even as you read this, is a part of you screaming, "No, that can't be true. Goodness must matter." This isn't just stubbornness. It is biological programming. In the 1960s, a psychologist named Melvin Lerner conducted a series of brutal experiments. He had participants watch a woman receiving painful electric shocks. Initially, the observers were distressed. They wanted it to stop. But when they were told they couldn't stop it, that the woman would continue to suffer no matter what they did, something terrifying happened. They didn't continue to sympathize with her. They started to blame her. They started saying things like, "She looks like she deserves it," or "She's behaving foolishly." Why? Because the human mind cannot tolerate the idea of random, meaningless suffering. If an innocent person can be tortured for no reason, then we are not safe. The chaos is too close. To protect our own sense of security, we rewrite the narrative. The victim must have done something to cause this. This is the just world hypothesis. It is the cognitive bias that says people get what they deserve. It is the psychological glue that holds your sanity together. You need to believe the world is orderly and fair, or you would be too terrified to leave your house. But here is the trap. Manipulators, psychopaths, and high-conflict personalities intuitively understand this mechanism, and they weaponize it against you. They know that you are desperate to believe in fairness. So when they hurt you, they rely on your own brain to do their dirty work. Think about the last time you were mistreated. What was the first thing you did? You asked, "What did I do wrong?" They screamed at you. You thought, "Maybe I shouldn't have brought that up right now." They cheated on you. You thought, "Maybe I wasn't attentive enough." They fired you. You thought, "Maybe I wasn't working hard enough." This is the learner experiment in real time. You are the observer watching yourself get shocked. And because you cannot stop the shocks, the injustice, you start rationalizing them to preserve your belief in a fair world. If I change my behavior, the outcome will change. That is the lie that keeps you trapped. You believe that if you just explain yourself better, if you just love them harder, if you just work more hours, the equation will balance. You are trying to input more good coins into the vending machine, expecting the justice bar to drop. But the machine is not unplugged. It is owned by someone who is taking your coins and laughing. This is the foundation of the victim trap. By clinging to the just world hypothesis, you make yourself infinitely exploitable. You become a person who can be abused, and instead of fighting back, you will spend years auditing your own behavior, looking for the sin that justified the punishment. The predator counts on this. They know that if they act with enough confidence, you will doubt your own reality before you doubt their authority. They know that if they accuse you of being the problem, your fairness reflex will kick in, and you will scramble to prove your innocence instead of attacking their guilt. You are playing defense in a game where the only way to win is offense. And let's go deeper. This belief system makes you lazy. Yes, lazy. Believing in a just world is a shortcut. It allows you to believe that being good is a strategy. It saves you from the hard, dirty work of acquiring power, learning negotiation, understanding leverage, and setting boundaries that have teeth. If the world is fair, you don't need to be strong. You just need to be nice. If the world is fair, you don't need to be smart. You just need to be honest. But the world is not fair. So your niceness is just compliance. Your honesty is just giving away information to people who will use it against you. You are walking through a war zone without armor, believing that your pacifism is a force field. It is not. It is a target. The just world hypothesis is not a noble belief. It is a sedative. It keeps you calm while you are being devoured. It convinces you that the moral high ground is a fortress, when in reality, it is just a hill where you can be easily seen and shot. To wake up, you must accept the terrifying freedom of the unjust world. In an unjust world, your goodness guarantees nothing. But that also means your suffering is not a verdict on your soul. You weren't hurt because you deserved it. You weren't hurt because you failed a cosmic test. You were hurt because you were in the way of someone who wanted something, and you didn't have the leverage to stop them. That is it. Mechanics, not morality. Physics, not karma. Once you see this, the guilt evaporates. But the responsibility lands with crushing weight. If the universe isn't going to save you, then who will? Now comes the part you don't want to hear. The part that will make you want to close this page and go back to your righteous anger. If the just world hypothesis is a lie, why do you cling to it so tightly? Why, even after being burned 10 times, do you reach for the fire again? Because the victim role offers you a secret payoff. There is a shadow benefit to being the wronged one. There is a dark, addictive sweetness in martyrdom. As long as you are the victim of injustice, you are morally pure. You are the saint on the cross. You are the protagonist in a tragedy, which is infinitely more romantic than being a forgotten extra in a chaotic world. Think about the identity you've built around your pain. I'm the one who gives too much. I'm the empath who attracts narcissists. I'm the hard worker who gets overlooked. These aren't just complaints. These are badges of honor. You wear them to signal your virtue. Look at how much I suffer, you say to the world. That proves how good I am. This is the currency of the powerless. If you cannot have victory, you will settle for sympathy. If you cannot have respect, you will settle for pity. But there is a darker truth beneath the virtue signaling. Being the victim absolves you of responsibility. If your life is a mess because the world is unfair, then you don't have to fix it. If you are broke because the system is rigged, you don't have to learn finance. If you are lonely because people are users, you don't have to learn social dynamics. The injustice becomes your alibi. It becomes the universal excuse for every failure, every stagnation, every fear you refuse to face. You point to the bad guy, the ex, the boss, the parent, and you say, "They did this to me." And you are right. They did. But you are the one keeping it that way. You are using their crime to justify your own paralysis. You are hiding behind your wounds because healing them would mean walking out into the scary, open world where you have no one to blame but yourself. As long as you are waiting for justice, you don't have to act. I can't move on until I get closure. I can't start a business until the lawsuit settles. I can't trust again until they apologize. Do you see the pattern? Every sentence starts with "I can't." The demand for justice is actually a permission slip to stay stuck. It is a way to avoid the terrifying risk of reinventing yourself. And let's talk about the superiority complex. Deep down, you believe you are better than them. You look at their success and think, it's dirty success. It's hollow. I would never stoop that low. This thought is your drug. It allows you to feel above them, even while they are standing on your neck. It allows you to transform your defeat into a spiritual victory. I may have lost the promotion, but I kept my soul. I may have lost the house, but I have my integrity. Are you sure that's integrity? Or is it just a consolation prize you invented to keep from feeling like a loser? Is it moral fortitude? Or is it just fear of getting your hands dirty? You tell yourself you won't play their games. But the truth is, you don't know how to play their games, and you are terrified of trying and failing. So you sit on the sidelines, wrapping yourself in the blanket of fairness, and critique the players on the field. This is the shadow truth. You are vulnerable to the just world trap because it feeds your ego. It tells you that your suffering makes you special. It tells you that the universe owes you a debt. It tells you that one day you will be lifted up and they will be cast down. It is a revenge fantasy disguised as a moral philosophy. And while you are dreaming of that day, your life is passing you by. You are trading your actual years for a fantasy future where you are vindicated. You are a creditor holding a stack of unpaid bills from people who have already declared bankruptcy. You are standing at their door, demanding payment. You owe me love. You owe me recognition. You owe me an apology. They don't owe you anything. Not because they are right, but because they simply do not care. And your demand that they should care is the chain that binds you to them. You think you are fighting for justice. In reality, you are fighting to avoid the terrifying work of saving yourself. You are afraid that if you let go of the anger, you will have nothing left. You are afraid that if you stop being the victim, you will have to be just another person struggling in a chaotic world. And that is the crux of it. You prefer the noble prison of injustice to the terrifying freedom of reality. Let's zoom in on the specific mechanism that keeps you hooked. We'll call it the dopamine slot machine. You know the feeling. It's a random Tuesday. You're feeling okay. Then the urge hits. Just one peek. You open Instagram. You check their LinkedIn. You Google their name. What are you looking for? You tell yourself you're looking for information, but you're not. You are looking for a hit. You are scanning for any sign of failure. A cryptic sad quote in their bio. Jackpot. They haven't posted in a month. Maybe they're depressed. Win. A bad review on their business page. Dopamine rush. See? You whisper to yourself. It's happening. The wheels are coming off. For 10 minutes, you feel a surge of vindication. The universe is finally working. You feel a rush of pleasure that is almost sexual in its intensity. It's the thrill of the gambler who just saw the roulette ball land on his number. But then, nothing happens. The next day, they post a photo of a new car. The bad review gets buried by 5 fake positive ones. The sad quote was just lyrics to a song they like. And you crash. You feel worse than before. You feel stupid, empty, and powerless. So what do? You wait a few days, and then you pull the lever again. This is intermittent reinforcement. It is the most addictive psychological pattern known to science. It is exactly how casinos get you hooked on slot machines. If you won every time, you'd get bored. If you lost every time, you'd quit. But if you win sometimes, unpredictably, randomly, you will play until you are bankrupt. The karma delusion is your casino. You are addicted to the possibility of their downfall. You interpret random noise as meaningful signals. They got a cold? Karma. They broke the heel of their shoe? Justice. It rained on their birthday? The universe hates them too. You are connecting dots that don't exist to form a picture you desperately want to see. You become a conspiracy theorist of your own life, analyzing meaningless data to prove that the grand plan is in motion. But here is the brutal reality. While you are stalking them, they are building. While you are analyzing their downfall, they are planning their next vacation. While you are living in their past, they are living in your present. They are living rent-free in the prime real estate of your mind. You are the landlord, and you are letting them trash the place for $0 a month. And the cost? The cost is your own potential. Every hour you spend investigating their life is an hour you did not spend building yours. Think about the mental bandwidth you have allocated to this investigation over the last year. The processing power, the emotional energy. What if you had put that into a side hustle? What if you had put that into the gym? What if you had put that into learning a language or reading books or just staring at a wall and finding peace? You didn't. You poured it into a black hole. And the worst part? You think this surveillance gives you control. I need to know what they're doing so I can be prepared. I need to know if they're saying things about me. No, you are not gathering intelligence. You are picking a scab. You are drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. The dopamine slot machine keeps you in a state of suspended animation. You are frozen in time, waiting for the jackpot of the great equalizing event. You imagine the day you get the phone call. Did you hear? He lost everything. Did you hear? She's alone and miserable. Let's play that out. Let's say you get that call tomorrow. Let's say they lose everything. They are destitute, miserable, and alone. Now what? Does the money appear back in your bank account? Does the time you wasted come back to your calendar? Does the heartbreak unbreak itself? No. You are still exactly where you are. You are still the person who spent 3 years waiting for someone else to fail. Their failure does not equal your success. Their misery does not equal your healing. The slot machine pays out in monopoly money. Even if you hit the jackpot, you can't spend it in the real world. But the coins you are putting in, your time, your focus, your dignity, those are real. And you are running out of them. Stop pulling the lever. Walk out of the casino. The only way to win this game is to stop playing it. Let's dissect the mechanics of why they won. Not the moral reason, but the physics of it. You lost because you brought merit to a leverage fight. You operate on the meritocracy myth. If I am the best worker, I will get the promotion. If I am the best partner, I will be loved. If I tell the truth, I will be believed. This is how school works. In school, if you study hard and write the correct answers, the teacher gives you an A. The authority figure, teacher, is aligned with the rules. But the real world is not school. In the real world, the teacher is often bribable, distracted, or incompetent. The person who beat you didn't use merit. They used leverage. Leverage is the ability to influence the outcome regardless of who is right. Leverage is knowing the boss's insecurities and flattering them. Holding the client relationship so the company can't fire you. Controlling the narrative before you even walked into the room. Having the money to outlast you in court. Let's look at the relationship dynamic. You were good. You were loyal. You cooked dinner. You listened. You supported their dreams. You had merit. They were selfish. They were inconsistent. They were exciting but unreliable. Why did they hold the power? Because they had outcome independence. They were willing to walk away. You weren't. In any negotiation, the person who needs the deal less has all the power. You needed the relationship to work to validate your effort. They didn't care. Therefore, they had leverage. Your goodness was irrelevant because they held the veto power over your happiness. Let's look at the workplace. You stayed late to fix the spreadsheet. You had merit. Your colleague went to drinks with the VP. They had leverage. Why? Because humans are tribal animals, not logic machines. We promote people we like, people we feel safe with, people who make us feel important. Your colleague built a bond, leverage. You built a spreadsheet, merit. When the layoff decision came, the VP didn't look at the spreadsheet. He looked at the face across the bar. You call this unfair. A physicist would call it gravity. You are trying to fly by flapping your arms, hard work, while ignoring the law of gravity, power dynamics. The person who hurt you understands gravity. They didn't waste time on being right. They spent their time acquiring assets. Social assets, financial assets, emotional assets. While you were polishing your halo, they were sharpening their knife. This is the hardest pill to swallow. Competence is only one form of leverage, and it is often the weakest. Likability beats competence. Fear beats competence. Money beats competence. Audacity beats competence. You are sitting in the wreckage of your life holding your competence certificate, wondering why it didn't protect you. It didn't protect you because you were playing a single-player game in a multiplayer world. You thought if you maximized your stats, you would win. But your opponent was playing the political game. They were forming alliances. They were manipulating perception. You view manipulation as evil. They view it as interface. To them, people are just another system to be hacked. They found the vulnerability in the system, the boss's ego, your need for approval, the legal system's loopholes, and they exploited it. You stood there, shouting, "That's against the rules." They replied, "What rules?" and walked away with the prize. This doesn't mean you have to become a sociopath. It doesn't mean you have to become them. But you must respect the weapon that killed you. You cannot defeat a tank with a poem. You cannot defeat leverage with moral outrage. If you want to stop losing, you have to stop relying on your merit to save you. You need to build your own leverage. Financial independence so you can walk away from a toxic boss. Emotional self-sufficiency so you can walk away from a toxic partner. Social networks that protect your reputation. Legal contracts that protect your work. Stop hoping your good deeds are a currency. They are not. They are a decoration. Leverage is the currency. And until you start banking that, you will always be the victim of someone who has more of it than you. Now we arrive at the final ghost you are chasing, closure. You tell yourself, I just need them to acknowledge what they did. I just need an apology. Then I can move on. You play the scene in your head. You sit down for coffee. They look at you with tear-filled eyes. They say, I was wrong. I was damaged. I hurt you because I was hurting. You didn't deserve any of it. And in your fantasy, the moment they say those words, the weight lifts off your chest. The sky clears. The trauma dissolves. Here is the truth. That conversation is never going to happen. And even if it did, it wouldn't fix you. You are addicted to the closure myth because you believe that they hold the key to your cage. You believe that since they broke you, they are the only ones who can put you back together. You are waiting for the arsonist to come back and rebuild your house. Why won't they apologize? 3 reasons. They don't remember it the way you do. To you, it was the defining trauma of your year. To them, it was just a Tuesday. The axe forgets. The tree remembers. You have a 4K, high-definition recording of every hurtful word. They have a fuzzy, vague recollection where you were actually the one being difficult. They aren't lying to you. They have successfully lied to themselves. They have rewritten history to protect their own ego. If they admitted they were the villain in your story, they would have to shatter their own self-image. They won't do that for you. They don't care. This is the one that cuts the deepest. They know they hurt you. They just don't value your feelings enough to feel bad about it. Empathy is a limited resource. They spent theirs on themselves. Expecting them to care about your pain is like expecting a stone to bleed. It's not in their nature. Admission is liability. If they admit they were wrong, they lose power. They lose leverage. In their mind, an apology is a weakness. It's handing you a weapon. So they will deny, deflect, and gaslight until the end of time rather than give you that inch. So, you are waiting for a package that was never shipped. And while you wait, you are keeping the wound open. I can't trust anyone until I understand why this happened. I need to know why they did it. The why is a trap. You think if you find the why, their childhood trauma, their narcissism, their stress, it will make the pain make sense. But understanding the mechanism of the bullet doesn't heal the gunshot wound. Knowing they are a narcissist doesn't give you back your lost years. Knowing they had a bad mother doesn't refill your bank account. The why is intellectual clutter. It's a way for your brain to chew on the problem without actually solving it. You become an archaeologist of your own misery, digging up bones, trying to reconstruct the dinosaur. Look, this bone proves they were insecure. Look, this bone proves they were projecting. Who cares? The dinosaur is still eating you. True closure is not something they give you. It is something you take. True closure is the moment you decide that their apology is irrelevant to your future. It is the moment you look at the door. They locked and realize you have a sledgehammer in your hand. You don't need them to unlock it. You knock it down. Closure is an act of amputation. It is looking at the part of your life that is infected with their memory and cutting it off. I am done analyzing this. I am done talking about this. I am done waiting for this. It hurts. It leaves a scar, but it stops the infection. The apology you are waiting for is a phantom. It is a ghost ship on the horizon. Stop swimming toward it. Swim back to the shore. Swim back to the land of the living, where your actual life is waiting for you. The most powerful thing you can do is not to forgive them. That's optional. And not to fight them. That's exhausting. It is to render them irrelevant. To make them a footnote in the biography of a person who went on to do great things. Oh yeah, that guy? He was a jerk. Anyway, here's how I built my empire. That is closure. The silence of your success drowning out the noise of their existence. We are near the end. And this is where I turn the mirror on you. This is the part where you might hate me. But you need to hear this, or the last 20 minutes were wasted. We have established that the world is unjust. We have established that they are not coming to apologize. We have established that your goodness is not a shield. So, why are you still standing in the rain? If you know the game is rigged, why do you keep playing by the old rules? At a certain point, your insistence on being a victim of injustice becomes a choice. It becomes complicity. You are not responsible for what they did to you, but you are 100% responsible for how long you let it define you. Every day you wake up and check their social media, you are choosing to be hurt. Every time you tell the story again to a new friend, fishing for sympathy, you are choosing to relive the trauma. Every time you say, I can't because of what happened, you are signing a renewal contract with your abuser. You are keeping them alive. They might have moved to a different city. They might have forgotten your name. But you are waking up every morning, making coffee, and inviting their ghost to sit at the table with you. Look what you did to me, you say to the ghost. And the ghost says nothing. Because it's a ghost. It's just you, alone in the kitchen, talking to your pain. Why do you do this? Because as long as you are the victim, you don't have to be the hero. Being the hero is terrifying. The hero has to accept that the world is dangerous and go out anyway. The hero has to accept that they might get hurt again. The hero has to stop blaming the villain for the plot and start writing the next chapter. You are scared. I get it. It is safer to stay in the injustice box. In that box, you are right. In that box, you are pure. In that box, everyone agrees that you got a raw deal. But it's a coffin. You are dying in there. The uncomfortable truth is that your demand for justice is actually a refusal to adapt. The environment changed. The predator entered the ecosystem. You didn't adapt. You froze. You stood there screaming, "Predators shouldn't exist," while you were being eaten. Evolution does not care about your protest. Evolution rewards adaptation. The person who hurt you, they are a lesson. They are a brutal, painful, expensive masterclass in how the world actually works. They taught you that people lie. They taught you that contracts matter. They taught you that appearances are deceiving. They taught you that you need leverage. Did you learn the lesson? Or are you just staring at the teacher, demanding a refund? There is no refund. The tuition has been paid. The years are gone. The tears are shed. The only question is, did you get the education? If you walk away from this experience simply bitter, you wasted your pain. If you walk away wiser, stronger, more careful, more lethal, then you got your money's worth. You have to stop looking at your scars as evidence of a crime. Start looking at them as armor. I survived that. Now I know what that looks like. Now I can see it coming. You are not a damaged goods. You are a veteran. But veterans don't sit around crying that the war was unfair. Veterans use their combat experience to survive the next battle. You have a choice to make right now. You can keep waiting for the apology. You can keep stalking their Instagram. You can keep polishing your victim badge. Or you can accept the horror of the situation. It happened. It was unfair. Nobody is coming to fix it. And in that acceptance, find your power. Because once you stop waiting for the world to be fair, you can start making the world yours. You can stop asking for permission. You can stop asking for validation. You can stop asking for justice. And you can start taking what you need. You can start building a life so big, so loud, so undeniable, that the person who hurt you becomes invisible, not because they are punished, but because you have outgrown the scale they exist on. That is the only revenge that matters. The revenge of being so happy, so successful, and so free that you genuinely forget their name. This is it. The video is ending. The screen is about to go black, and you are left with the silence of your own room. Right now, you are standing at a binary crossroads. There are only two paths forward from this moment, and you have to choose one before you close this tab. Option A, you stay in the waiting room. You click off this video. You feel a momentary spark of anger, but then you slide back into the warm bath of your resentment. You go to sleep tonight thinking about them. You wake up tomorrow and check their profile just to see. Fast forward 1 year. You are still talking about the injustice. Your friends are starting to drift away because they can't listen to the same story for the 500th time. They love you, but you are exhausting them. You are becoming a bore. Fast forward 5 years. The person who hurt you has moved on to 3 other lives. They don't even remember your middle name. But you are still litigating the past. You have become bitter. The corners of your mouth have turned down permanently. You have a victim vibe that repels new opportunities, new partners, and new luck. You are right. You are moral. You are just. And you are entirely alone. You wasted the only life you have waiting for an apology that never came. That is the path of the just world believer. It is a slow, comfortable suicide. Option B, you become amoral. I don't mean evil. I mean you stop projecting morality onto the mechanics of the universe. You look at the wreckage of what happened, you take a deep breath, and you say, okay, that happened. It wasn't fair, but it is my reality. And you burn the ship. You delete the screenshots. You block the accounts, not to punish them, but to free your own eyes. You stop telling the story. If someone asks you about it, you say, it was a learning experience, and you change the subject. You deny the ghost any more of your oxygen. And then you start building. You realize that since the world is not fair, you must be formidable. You stop trying to be the nicest person in the room, and you start trying to be the most competent, the most essential, the one with the most leverage. You study power. You study psychology. You learn how to negotiate. You learn how to protect yourself legally, financially, and emotionally. You build a fortress around your life, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. You realize that justice is not something the universe gives you. It is something you create for yourself by ensuring you are never in a position to be victimized again. This path is cold. It is scary. It requires you to kill the child inside you that believes in Santa Claus and fairies and karma. But it is the only path that leads to freedom. The next time you walk into a room, a boardroom, a date, a family gathering, you will look different. You won't have that please. Like me, look in your eyes. You won't have that. I hope they treat me right desperation. You will have the eyes of someone who knows the game. You will know that the person across from you is acting in their own self-interest. You won't be shocked by it. You won't be hurt by it. You will expect it, and you will be ready for it. You are no longer a victim waiting for a savior. You are a player at the table. So here is your final instruction. When this video ends, do not go to the comment section and write a paragraph about your story. Do not look for validation from strangers. Do not share this video with the person who hurt you, hoping they will finally understand. They won't watch it. They don't care. Close your eyes. Visualize the debt they owe you. The apology, the money, the time. Visualize it as a heavy, rotting sack of garbage you have been carrying on your back for years. Drop it. Just let go. Walk away from the debt. Declare bankruptcy on the past so you can be rich in the future. Leave them to their small, chaotic, selfish life. It has nothing to do with you anymore. The world is not just. The world is a jungle. And you have been standing still, screaming at the tigers to be vegetarians. Stop screaming. Start hunting. Your life belongs to you again. Take it.